Hi folks, TJ here. So you've had your Speccy Next, you've turned it on for the first time, you've set up the monitor. There's some other things on here that you should be perusing before you get too deep. And by the way, as a reminder, did you back up your SD card? One of the very first things you should have done, most of us probably turned on the computer first to make sure it worked. But then after you're done, you need to make a backup of that SD card. Even if it's as simple, put the SD card in a PC, copy all said data over to your hard drive so you've got something. There's also duplicators that you could duplicate an exact duplicate. I used a program called, I think it starts with a B, Bachina, Ballerina. Anyway, I used a program and I made an exact duplicate of the SD card, and I put that SD card up in a box. And then I also dragged and copied all of the contents onto a computer. So I've got it in multiple spots. And then I put the original Next card back in here. You can either run off your original or a backup, whichever one you want. But I thought we would turn on the Next. One of the unique things that the Next Kickstarter 2 does that my Next Kickstarter 1 did not do is this. Beep. It beeps at you now. That's new. I don't remember that in Kickstarter 1. So, unique Kickstarter 2 thing. And it takes a little while to boot up sometimes. You kind of get a little worried. Everything else looks like it did before. Other than version 2.08, this version has that. I was on 2.07 on my Kickstarter 1 and still am. But there's a lot of stuff on here for you to peruse after you made your backup. Let me focus in on the screen. I'll go a little darker, but the screen should get a little bit better. So, some things to kind of look for. Let's go down, and by the way, if you've got a joystick connected, you can use your, did you know that you could use your joystick to control? You don't have to use the arrow keys on here. Both are available to you. So if you like to sit back and relax, you can use your 8-bit do or whatever joystick you want to do this. But let's go to the more section, because some people will go, I don't need to go into the more, but there's some important stuff under more. You're probably not going to do tape loader or tester. A lot of people, they may, as novelty, load up cassettes on here, which is fun. I've never once loaded a cassette onto my Next that I remember. I don't have the right cable, so. But anyway, some things in here that you're looking at, and most of it looks like, okay, this is interesting. I got ZX80 Basic and so on. But the one I want to take you to is tools, because there's two things in here you'll want to do. And if you haven't done it yet and you've had your Next for a while, well, you need to do it. Bring up tools and you'll see set clock. There's a clock in here. There's a battery in this computer, a little button battery, and that keeps the time of this computer. So you can set your clock to the right time. I'll just go in here briefly. It's pretty user-friendly. I already done mine. Current date, current time. You can use your arrow keys to move through left and right, up and down, and you can change the values. Obviously, adjust the values to your proper date and time, and press enter to confirm when you're done. I'm going to hit break to abort. So do that. That was number 1 under tools. Another one under tools. And by the way, did you know, so you could go down, but you can also go up. So you start up here if you wanted to go down to M for more, or tools. You can actually hit the letter O on here and you go to tools. So you don't have to use your arrows all the time. You can use those highlighted letters to get there, or you can use the arrow keys on your keyboard, or again, 8-bit do, or whatever joystick you happen to have. Wi-Fi setup. You want to set this up so you can connect this computer wirelessly to your network, which will be a benefit for some future things that you will want to install and use. I believe Get It is a program that allows you to get stuff off of the internet to download to your computer, so you don't have to take the SD card out and copy stuff over, which will be helpful. So set up your Wi-Fi. I'm not going to go into mine, but anyway, that's something. And then updater. I haven't done an update yet. To my knowledge, this version is still the current version. There are some adjustments that they are always making, but there haven't been anything officially saying, Kickstarter 2, you update now, buddy, because we're now official. It's out of beta. Do an update. That's when I personally do updates. Up to you when you want to do them. There may be some right off the press type of things, beta that you can do. That's not my style, so I'm going to wait to do any updates until I'm told to. But let's go back. So those are some tools you want to visit and set your clock and set your Wi-Fi. Going down to M for more, that takes you back to this main screen. So again, multiple ways to navigate your browser. Well, I should say desktop. What do you call this right here? This is the browser when you get in here, but what is, when I go back one, what's this officially called? Is it the browser still? Is it the next ZX OS? Is this the official desktop? You know, those are things that I've just always called this my browser, and my browser allows me to get the other things. I don't know if that's officially correct. You school me down below. If there's a proper word, I'm just going to call this the next ZX OS or the browser, because this browser is allowing me to get through things. And although there's a browser that lets me go select things, I'm just going to call it that for now. So let's go into, there's other things you can play with. A calculator, a guide. Did you know there's a guide on here? Let's go to the guide for a moment. There's all these things, and you can hit N for next, P for previous. You can learn about menus, main menu options, and all sorts of stuff. And so if I keep hitting N for next, it winds me through all of these wonderful things that you can learn about your next. And this is basically a Next ZX OS guide that gives you all sorts of good information. To get out of this, you can hit Q for quit. Let's get into the browser, because we're not going to do any command line stuff today, but there may be times that you will want to do a command line. Example, playvid. The other day I had to use the .playvid command because a video I wanted to play would not play, but if I did a command slightly different, it would play. So I learned how to go into command line and do that, which was fun. But today, let's go browse what's on our SD card, apps, and a whole bunch of stuff. Contributing M.MD. What's MD stand for? Medical doctor? Well, I actually asked this the other day in a Next Basic group, I think it was, a Facebook group. And a .md or a .txt are both files that your Next basically can view, and it's going to give you a textual form of information that you can read. Both of them work. Both of them, is one better than the other? I couldn't get that out of the group I asked. They said basically they both do the job of what you're looking to do. A .md is supposedly from GitHub. GitHub is one of those whirlybird, propeller head, very smart people that create big things. That's the way I look at it. Apps and games and all sorts of things. And the .md is a file that's kind of derivative of a Git way to show your text in a little bit more formatted, pretty way than what a regular .txt is. So both of them found their way to a Next. So both of them you can view. Example, README. We always love to README, so I'm going to do a README.md, and you'll see it brings up a README file. You can hit return key and it pages you through it, or you can hit the space bar to take you out of whatever you were reading. But we want to go up and check out some stuff. Apps, let's just pop in there quick. None of this stuff for me today is what I'm here for, what I'm going to do, but there's, needless to say, apps. Like there's a Wi-Fi app that tool probably accesses stuff in this Wi-Fi folder for doing what it does. Do end users need to play in there? Odds are no, unless, again, I'm going to call it propeller head. People that are very smart that create these things are going to have access to. For me, I'm not going to probably go into any of these things today, so I'm going to back out of it. Let's go to demos. What demos do they have in store for us? AKY songs, classics, color schemes, GP plotter or G plotter, Next Basic, only U6 channel CH, palette cycle. So there's a number of things that are in here that you can launch and play. I'm not going to do all those. The video would take forever, but check out some of these demos. Should we pick one for the hell of it? Show 512. Okay. Do we want to read? No. We don't need to read no stinking manual, even though they're going to tell you to read the effing manual. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to go show 512.nex. What is a .nex? Well, it's a executable next base application game, whatever, that when you select it, it's going to go ahead and run. And there you go. Different color orders, and it shows you some interesting stuff. Are you going to use this? No idea, but it says hold break to exit. And it did it. I had to hold it, not just a quick hit, but holding it, quit out of there. Cool. Okay, let's get back into the browser. There's these two dots up here. When you go to these two dots, it takes you back one level. And basically, I'm back in the demos now, and I want to go back another level. And now we're back to our main browser screen. There's docs. Let's check the docs really quick. Looks like these are documents for stuff that you may want to read. Let's go into the ROMs one. I don't know what's in here. Gosh, wonderful. And there's text files. And there you go. You can read stuff. If you like reading, there you go. I'm going to hit spacebar to get out of there. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff. One day when you're bored, obviously thumb through some of these things. It would be interesting to see, licenses. And my guess is there's licenses for using certain things in Next ZXOS. Maybe there's some licenses in there. Everyday common users, you're probably not going to play around in here much, but it doesn't hurt to get familiar with what's in there. Extras. There's dot commands. These are all dot commands, and there's tons of them. And you'll see that all of these, when you launch them, actually do something. Is there a playvid in there? Yeah, see, there's a dot playvid. So when you type in dot, period, command dot playvid, and then some info, it's going to launch that program and do its thing. So all very cool. Okay, extras. Next test and RAM test. So this is where I wanted to point you to. This next test might be one that you want to check, and the RAM test as well. Is your Next healthy? They said it was from the factory, but they took a long trip to get to you, so who knows? Maybe they stopped off over in Germany and had some beers. You never know. So next test. There's a textual format, so you can read how to run it, but we're living dangerously today, so we're going to nexttest.nex. Boom, boom. So this tune goes the whole time. You'll see it's counting. Now, I don't know if that tune is copywritten or anything, so I'll stop it playing, but it sounds good. HDMI, 50 hertz. It tells me what basically screen mode that I could have chose 60. I could have chose 50. What happens if I go right now and do NMI button 3? And it shows 60 now. If you ever find a program that says it's best run in 60 hertz, you can change on the fly by doing NMI button and the number 3, and it changes you between the two of them. Let's go back to 50 hertz, though. 3.02.00 is the current, I guess you would call that the core. Am I correct? 3.02.00. When they do an update, and you do that updater later, it's going to update that to something newer. We're running through HDMI at 28 megahertz, 2.0 or 2.0A. Then it has all this keyboard info. Here it's running an SD21. It's counting up. What's that mean? I have no idea. But if you watch the screen, I'm going to hit the 1 key. Guess what lit up? 1, 2, 3. So if you have a keyboard that you question if it's working all the time, like 5 is sporadically working, well, hit it 10 times and does it light up 10 times? Odds are it's probably doing all right. Or maybe the space bar, if you hit it on the left side and it's not registering all the time, that might be a good time to hit the space bar in various areas. And it's lighting up. It's telling me I'm hitting those keys. Down here are the buttons on the left. There's an NMI button, which is the yellow one. If I hit that, look what lit up. NMI 1, it's telling me I'm hitting it. eBus 0, I don't know what that is. eBus 0, there's no other button on here. Is that the function? I don't know what that is. Yeah, it's the function key, lights up this one. I don't know what eBus 0 is. What is that? I don't know. I'll figure it out one day, but it's something. Reset button. So if you hit everything on the keyboard, it's doing some tests. So when you're hitting things, right now with the joystick, I've got a joystick in joystick port 1. Watch where it says Sax Builder. Sack Butler, Butler. See how it's changing B to 1? So it's registering I'm hitting that key on the joystick. I'm hitting a different one. So you can go through, and if I do the scroll bar, it's saying, hey, I'm getting all these commands. So you can check your joystick ports. You can check all of these things. It says I'm passing, which is great. So you just keep playing. Make sure all your keys work. I think that was a nifty idea. So I'm going to go ahead and NMI 4 out of this. That basically is a soft reset. I'm going to go back in the browser. Now, the RAM test is another thing. Now, all the next Kickstarter 2s came with 2 megabyte of memory. So I'm going to just run it. And it says, let's see, first fail, last fail. It's counting, RAM test pass. It's just telling it's passing, CRC pass. So run it. Make sure everything says pass. If there's any fails, I'm guessing stuff will pop up and let you know. Hopefully that never happens. And what pops up, I can't tell you. And hopefully I never can tell you because I don't want my next to fail. But needless to say, this checks your RAM. Let it run for a little bit. Make sure it passes. And then if it does, again, you can quit out of this. Now, I don't know if there's any keys. I hit the return key and it just started over. Let's hit the reset, the red one on the side. And that one does. Okay, cool. Browser. So let's get out of this. This is going to be a long video. I'm just kind of taking you on an adventure today. We're both learning all these different things that are on here. Extras was where we were. Games. So I'm not going to play these, but it did come with some classic 128K games. So if you want to test your .tap file to confirm that downloads that you do that are .tap will run one of these. You could play an old Speccy game, which is fun. Same classic 48. There's some games on here. Next games. There's a whole bunch of Next games on here. I just played Nexions.run today. That was a fun game. But there's a whole bunch of games. Night Night, don't be fooled. The one that's in the next folder is the old one that came with Kickstarter 1 that lets you play the demo version. The real new 80 level version is in a different place, and I'll show you that in a bit. But there's other games. If you want to play an old ZX81 game, here's some here for you to play with. So you get a flavor of everything. They've given you some things to tinker with. So if you want to play with some of the other, like a ZX80 World or a ZX81, it's all at your fingertips. So let's get out of here. Home. Let's just go to home quickly. There's a README text file. It just says home is a place for you to keep your own files you create. Files in here will never be replaced, overwritten, or deleted by the next ZX OS. So it's a safe haven for you to put your own things that you don't want to have affected if you're doing any updates, for example. So let's get out of that. Spacebar. Kickstarter 2 extras. This is where your new Night Night is. I've already taken you there when I did my first boot. But there's other things. There's Crowley World Tour 2. I haven't played yet. The Detour, which is the Baggers in Space, game number 2. And then videos, which we did go to on my first video. And I actually put some of my own in here. I created some of my own using MakeVid videos. And I went down and actually, I can't show you this one because it's for my physical edition of the game, my own game. But I've made a little video that's part of that. But there's some other ones on here. What did I create? Kickstarter. Or no, HSVid is a short one. So let me run that. And this is just a silly video. Oh, I don't have the sound on. It's just some silly. I just wanted to make sure it works. So if you create videos making MakeVid from your Windows PC, you can slap them in here and have them all in one place for you to enjoy. So that's cool. And so we'll get out of this. These other things I don't think mostly, I think that's about it. This video is already pretty long, but there's other machines. Look at all these ROMs that are in here that make your Next do what they need to do. So things that you're probably not going to move in here or adjust maybe when you start adding your own ROMs, if you ever do that. But Next ZXOS, README, these other things are part of your next operating system, next core, next world. That all this other stuff you're not going to probably really tinker with if you're an everyday person, kind of like me. But where you're going to play mostly in is probably games. So when you download games from World of Spectrum or another place, you can copy them to your SD card and then put them all in the right folder and directory. And when you go in here, for example, let's go ahead and launch Castlevania for the heck of it. And then we'll end the video here. Castlevania. And there's the game. Please stop, tape, and press any key. Now, I haven't played this before, but game by. So I'm running a Speccy 128 game on the Next. That's the whole thing wonderful about the Next. Not only do you play and have all the capabilities of the new Next basic games or Nextified games, you can play all these older games for your Speccy 48, 16, 60, well, what's Speccy go up, 128 games. Let's quit that. So, yeah, you have all this from one computer. HDMI out to a wonderful screen. This is cool, right? So, anyway, so get familiar with all these things. And again, adjust your clock, adjust your Wi-Fi, play around with some of these things, go in the Next Basic, make your quick little game. That I keep my little booklet here. There's some stuff in here you can type in and then go in the Next Basic, save it, get familiar with saving to your SD card because you might make a wonderful creation. But a lot of you are just going to go in the browser and play around in your games folder and enjoy stuff. So anyway, that's it. I just wanted to say get familiar with your Next. Make your backup first before you get too deep. And then start enjoying it. Peruse some of these things. Get familiar with where they are. I think dot commands are probably one of the more techie things that are just on the verge of, hey, you're not a techie guy, but you can understand, hey, this command is something I can use and get into the command line and actually do something, like a dot play vid or something. So I'm going to explore dot commands more this year. I haven't really in past years. So that's it. So explore your Next. Have fun. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.